almost there. We are ready and streaming live on YouTube. Go.
Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. Welcome to the YouTube portion of this podcast, the Dale Jr. Download, brought to you by Xfinity. Some great partners of our sport and partners of this podcast. They sponsor the Ask Junior portion. So this is obviously coming to you on our Dirty Mo Media YouTube page. Make sure you follow Dirty Mo Media on all social handles. Leah's here to handle your questions. Mike Davis here as well. So let's get started, Leah.
All right, first question is from David Carden. Who is a driver that's not a household name, past or present, that you wish you could have raced against?
Not a household name. My gosh.
Did he wishes he could race against? Have raced against? Okay.
Wish you could have raced against.
Like an old short tracker or something?
Oh, who's that?
God.
I don't think about things like that. And let me explain. There's not a time in my career where I thought, man, I'd really love to race that guy. Like Tim Richmond, people might think, man, Tim Richmond, he was cool. What would it have been like to see him continue his career had he not passed away? I think about things like that, but I never went, I never looked at a guy and went, man, I'd love to have raced him. Especially a name that isn't a household name. I just wanted to win. I didn't want to field the race up with people that I wanted to race. I never really kind of approached it that way. I don't know how else to sort of articulate that, Mike. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
The household name thing makes that almost impossible, because let me give you an example. Like, if you went down the road, like saying Scott Bloomquist, well, even Scott Bloomquist isn't, he's very popular, hugely popular. Right. But I wouldn't even want to,
I never wanted to race him.
No, understood. But I'm just using it as a hypothetical. But it's just to not be, like most people would say something like, I don't know, AJ Foyt or, whoever, but that's so to say not a household name would have to be somebody like, a cousin that nobody knows about or something.
Being on the racetrack with somebody is not a enjoyable experience.
That's a good point. Right.
Yeah. Being on the racetrack with a competitor in a race is not something you look forward to. It's part of it's a necessary part of it that you don't necessarily, it doesn't make it funner. It can make it less fun. You can't have guys that you hate to race. There's a lot of those. That's an easy question. But there's no guy, there were guys that you like to beat. That probably would be the other question is that would probably be the way to ask that question, is to say, who out there would you love to race against to beat? Who would you want to beat? And that would be guys like, my dad. I would want to, every time I raced Dad, I wanted to beat him. I wanted to finish ahead of him every single time. Beating Kelly Yarbrough, guys like that. But I never enjoyed racing against a guy, if that makes sense. It's kind of like when you play video games with your buddies and you win some, you lose some, but do you really love the opponent or the game, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So every time you would say, that was fun, hey, Martin, that was fun, or whatever, right, you're talking about the actual race, not the fact that it was Martin.
Yeah. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I got you.
Wow, that actually was fun.
I enjoyed that.
We didn't become enemies in that time we were racing each other. We actually enjoyed it. So I never,
There you go.
I guess.
All right.
I guess I answered that.
So there's another Mike Davis in this world, and he wants to know, why are your dad's 1984, 85 Wrangler cars referred to as the Blue Goose? Can you explain that?
God, I don't even know. No.
You don't know?
Not a clue.
That'd have been a good question for David Allen a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh
The
yeah.
Blue Goose. Somebody figure that out for us.
All right. Somebody.
I've heard that faintly somewhere, but I don't even know what that means.
Alexander Brown wants to know, how were you able to acquire the Unical 76 Globe from North Wilkesboro?
Well, I think I saw a picture or a video somebody did with a drone of the racetrack, and I was watching it and saw that 76 ball. And for whatever reason, so most of my life, so if you're going to play a video game, and I've played a lot of video games, and I still play a lot of video games today, especially when you're like in Call of Duty or Counter-Strike or any of those first-person shooters, right? When you jump in the game, it says, "Hey, what's your name? What do you want people to see as your tag?" Or if you start a gamer tag on Xbox, right? You're gonna name, give yourself this cool name. For decades, I've used Unical 76, and the reason why I used Unical 76 is because I love the colors. Orange is my favorite color, and paired with blue, it's just a cool combination. And it was prevalent in NASCAR, and I just thought it sounded cool. Unical 76 just sounds cool. So I always used Unical 76 whenever I still use it today. Like when I play video games or need a gamer tag or something like that, anything. So when I saw that 76 sign still standing at the end of pit road at North Wilkesboro after all these years, I mean, two decades later, it's still sitting there. I reached out to Marcus Smith and them and said, "Hey man, are you guys going to do anything with that? I'd love to take it." And I'm with the intent to put it back up, to make it functional, to save it, keep it. And I've got a big 76 ball that was hanging outside the racetrack at Talladega. They actually would climb up in the MRN guys would climb up inside it and call the race from that, that corner, wherever this ball was located. There were 4 around the racetrack in Talladega at the time. When Sunoco came in, they came and took them all down. So they would lay them out back in the field behind the track. And I drove by. Schrader got one. I got one. I don't know where the other 2 went. So that's how I got it. I called Marcus Smith and said, "Hey, let me have that thing." And he said, "No problem." So I bought it, or didn't buy it. Sorry. I went, we got it. We brought it home. We put it up. It still works. It lights and it turns. It rotates. So pretty cool.
Awesome.
And I didn't refurbish it. I didn't change the lens because it's faded at the top from the sun on both sides. I thought I should leave it that way, at least for the time being.
Colby is on YouTube and he wants to know, do you think there will be any more pro invitationals in the future? Maybe an off-season all-star race?
I think that there will. This was too successful, and the participation from the drivers increased, and they seemed to find enjoyment in it. At first, a lot of them were racing and weren't good. And when you're not good at something and you're kind of asked to do it, not really out of preference, you don't really enjoy it. But as they got better, it became something they really started to enjoy. They started to see light at the end of the tunnel. So I've been in the conversations with some of the people at iRacing. They would love to have a winter heat style event, some sort of a short series when the race season's over, maybe in December, January, or something like that, to just a very short, abbreviated version of the Pro Invitational. And we'll see what that looks like. And I certainly expect it to be a possibility.
Brady Reaver wants to know, do you think there will be multiple winners or 1 or 2 dominant cars in these upcoming races?
That's the thing that I fear, I guess, or I worry about the most is, I've seen this my entire life as a fan or a driver or being involved in motorsports. You'll show up to the racetrack and somebody just hits on it. And they're just out. They're just in a field, in a league of their own, right? And I expect that to be a real possibility at several of these races. When you show up and don't practice and don't qualify, and you just line them up, you're going to have some guys that miss it big time. Some drivers that are miserable in the car because it is driving terribly, and so bad that there aren't anything they're able to do in the pits to fix it. So I would have my scanner going because it's going to be a hot topic, right? The scanner's going to be scanner chatter on the drivers is going to be colorful. So that's one thing that I'm anticipating. But yeah, I expect to see a couple guys really either by hard work, engineering, dedication, or sheer luck really hit on a hot setup that separates them from the field at each of these tracks we go to. And it might not be the same car or team every time. It could be, you know, whereas usually in seasons we see organizations that thrive over a period of time, this could be a little more spotty and a little more. It's real opportunistic opportunity, really opportunistic opportunity for people, if that's even a word. It's prime for the picking, man. You can get in there and steal the show if you do it right. This is so unprecedented. No practice, no qualifying. First lap will be the first lap of the race. We can't even begin to know what to expect or anticipate, but it's not going to be anything that we've seen before, I'm sure.
All right, guys, that's it for today.
Opportunistic opportunities.
Very opportune.
Keep your eyes open. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Ask Junior portion of this podcast presented by Xfinity. We had Matt Kenseth on the show. He was great. We talk about his upcoming opportunity with the 42 car. And also we dip back into the past a little bit about the beginning of his Xfinity career and a couple other cool things. So we had a great conversation with Matt. I hope you'll listen to the whole podcast once Matthew has it out tomorrow morning sometime. Thanks for Xfinity for sponsoring the Ask Junior portion of the show. They're a great company that support our NASCAR top 3 series in many different ways. They're great supporters of this podcast. So we'll see you guys next Monday.